that had we but world enough and time, this coyness lady were no crime. So basically यहाँ पे क्या बोला जा रहा है guys कि अगर poet के पास time है, if the speaker starts off by telling the mistress that if there was enough time and enough space, then her coyness. Now what is basically the meaning of coyness, guys? Google says that coyness का मतलब the quality of shyness or modesty in an attempt of seem alluring. सो बेसिकली यहाँ पे ये ब्लेम किया जा रहा है कि ये जो क्वालिटी है वो एक्चुअली एक क्राइम है. ठीक है, दिस इज अ राउंड अबाउट वे ऑफ कॉलिंग हर ए क्रिमिनल एंड मेक्स अस थिंक्स ऑफ jails, courtrooms, and punishments. So the line 3 and 4 starts with something like this, that we would sit down and think which way to walk and pass our long love stay. So basically when people are in love, guys, you know what happens, like everything looks beautiful and it seems like we have all the time in the world. In any case, he continues, if there was had he had all the time and space they wanted, they could have gone anywhere and could have done everything, read guidebooks and carefully consider where they might go next, while aimlessly strolling and resting whenever they pleased. So basically यहाँ पे जो अपना leisure time है, जो अपना quality time है to spend while they are being in love is being discussed in the line 3 and 4. लाइन 5 टू लाइन 10 ऑफ टू हिज कॉय मिस्ट्रेस मैं अपने पिछले वीडियो में डिस्कस कर चुका हूँ, तो जिन लोगों ने वो वीडियो नहीं दिखा है गाइस, प्लीज़ गो टू द प्रीवियस वीडियो इन द प्लेलिस्ट एंड वॉच इट टू हैव ए प्रॉपर क्लैरिटी, क्योंकि अभी हम लोग जाने वाले हैं डिस्कस करने के लिए फ्रॉम लाइन 11 टू 12 विच स्टेट्स दैट माई वेजिटेबल लव शुड ग्रो vaster than empires and more slow. Now, before I go to the explanation part of this poem, let us understand that what is actually metaphysical poetry, because यहाँ पे हम लोग इस pretext में इस poem को समझना पड़ेगा कि हर लाइन का एक अलग इंटरप्रिटेशन हो सकता है, because basically metaphysical poetry is defined as highly intellectualized poetry marked by bold and ingenious conceits, incongruous imagery, complexity and subtlety of thought, frequent use of paradox, and often by deliberate harshness or rigidity of expression. So ये है मतलब फिर मेटाफिजिकल पोइट्री का कि हम लोग कोई भी जो रेफरेंस है उसका अलग मतलब निकाल सकते हैं. वी हैव गिवन दैट लिबर्टी, लाइक हियर इट सेज दैट माय वेजिटेबल लव शुड ग्रो. बेसिकली इट्स रेफर्ड टू इन मोर ऑर्गेनिक मैनर that vegetables जो हम लोग grow करते हैं, that actually takes time to be nourished and like to grow to their prime. Eventually that takes time, so the love that is being referred here is like a slow and more organic one, and it's also being compared to the empires, and it says that vaster than empires and more slow. So ये जो organic love है, it's actually being referred to be very slow. Again guys, we can't skip but also consider the fact that a different meaning also comes out of these two lines. Considering the fact that this poem is basically about sexual intimacy, a certain part of male anatomy is shaped like certain members of the vegetable kingdoms. Vegetable love also refers to that. I know अभी बहुत लोग को ये लगेगा कि why should it be compared to that, but again जो basic theme है इस poem का आपको नहीं भूलना है. So उस सेंस में भी इस मीनिंग को ले लिया जा सकता है. एंड ऑल्सो सम लिटरेरी क्रिटिक्स थिंक दैट द वेजिटेबल इन वेजिटेबल लव्स रेफर्स टू द फीमेल एनाटॉमी एज वेल. वी विल लेट यू डू द मैथ ऑन योर ओन गाइस. सो आप लोग खुद डिसाइड करो कि आपको इसको मोर ऑर्गेनिक वे में लिखना है, या वी कैन ऑल्सो रेफर दिस टू द एनाटॉमी पार्ट. Lines 13 to 17 states that 100 years should go to praise thine eyes and on thy forehead gaze, 200 to adore each breast, but 30,000 to the rest, and age at least to every part. Now guys, अगर आप इस poem को, इस stanza को clearly पढ़ोगे तो आपको यही समझ में आएगा कि the person is referring to the praisal and like the तारीफ करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं to the each individual part of the mistress. Anyhow, he says that if he had time, he would have give her compliments about each of her individual body parts, and he would have spent a bazillion years doing it. Line जो 18 है that states कि and the last age should show your heart. So basically, after complimenting the mistress about all her individual parts, finally the last age जो है, the poet wants to devote that in like asking her to show her heart, and then finally after all the complimenting she would show her heart. presumably by having sex with him. Line 19 to 20 says, "For lady, you deserve this state, nor would I love at lower rate." Basically आप यहाँ पे ये लिख सकते हैं कि the poet referring here is that the mistress is really worth it too, he says, and I wouldn't give you anything less than the first class love. The word rate cleverly links the word heart of the previous line, making us think of heart rate. So lines 21 to 22 says, "But at my back I always hear time's winged chariot hurrying near." देखिए guys, no doubt यहाँ पे एक ये poem revolves around the sexual intimacy where the mistress is all about showing her coyness and the poet who is pursuing for the mistress. But at the same time, the realization is also there that the time is the biggest champion here, which is clearly evident in these two lines because here he gives her a huge, gigantic butt. Ouch, you see the speaker hears something behind him. Time's winged chariot, to be exact. He's being chased down by Time's hybrid car. It doesn't say who's driving, but we can assume it's probably Time. Lines 23 और 24 में इस लाइन को इलाबोरेट किया गया है गाइस, एंड यहाँ पे लिखा गया है कि एंड यॉन्डर ऑल बिफोर अस लाई डेजर्ट्स ऑफ वास्ट इटर्निटी. यहाँ पे स्पीकर क्या बोलना चाहता है कि ही सीम्स टू हैव hallucination. Look, he tells the mistress, look at all this sand. The future is just endless sand. We're all going to die. लाइन 25 को फर्दर इस बात को इलाबोरेट किया जाता है कि thy beauty shall no more be found. टाइम इज़ द बिगेस्ट फोर्स गाइस. हम सबको पता है कि इन फ्रंट ऑफ टाइम आप कितने खूबसूरत हो या वट प्रॉपर्टी एंड पोजेशंस यू हैव, इट डजेंट मैटर, इट विल ऑल वैनिश एंड गो अवे. एंड यहाँ पे स्पीकर यही बोलने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं कि यू वोंट लुक सो प्रिटी देयर. लाइन 26 में ये बताया गया है कि नॉर इन दाई मार्वेल बाउल्ड शेल साउंड. You sure won't be able to hear my pretty song when you are in grave. Lines 27 and 28 says, "My echoing song, then worms shall try that long preserved virginity." अब अगर in a layman language, if you try to understand these two lines, the first two words clearly says that the person who is singing the song and comparing it to the previous paragraph which says that she won't be able to hear his song from the grave, the speaker is quite sure about the fact that when the mistress will be in her grave, then his song will be going on, and here it becomes a little bit creepier, guys. The speaker tells the mistress that in the grave, worms will have sex with her. According to the lines, she is a virgin.
So the 29th line says, "And your quaint honor turned to dust." So basically, in a layman language, guys, if you try to read the line again and again, you'll try to understand that the speaker is trying to make fun of her virginity, of her honor. And basically, in Norton Anthology of English Literature, quaint is a euphemism that means vagina. So basically, क्या हो रहा है guys यहाँ पे कि जो speaker है वो मजाक उड़ा रहा है about the honor she has and that honor she is taking to grave. So basically, it's a creepy thing, I know, but as the poem theme suggests, it's about sexual intimacy. We have to live with it. Line 30 says, "And into ashes all my lust." Basically, here the speaker is trying to say that if the mistress takes her virginity to the grave, उसका जो lust है और उसका जो desire है for her, that will also come to ashes because you won't be able to have the chance to have sex with her. Basically यहाँ पे एक optimal side ये भी है कि that he is trying to proclaim that if he can't have sex with her, he won't have sex at all. Line 31 and 32 says, "The grave's a fine and private place, but none I think do their embrace." So यहाँ पे जो coffins का और जो graves का जो isolation or privacy milta hai for a dead person, he is trying to take out some positive from it. He rubs in the whole thing by telling her that coffins are great, they have a lot of privacy but no hugging. Line 33 says, "Now therefore while the youthful who." So basically यहाँ पे the speaker is trying to suggest that his argument in the previous paragraphs has been successful. So he wants the mistress to understand what he is trying to convey in his simple words. Line 34 to 36 says, "Sits on thy skin like morning dew, and while thy willing soul transpires at every pore with instant fires. He kinds of brings her back from the grave here. Just a minute ago, he imagines her dead in the crypt, and now he tells her how young she is and how her soul rushes around excitedly inside her, leaking out through her pores. Transpire actually, guys, has a few fun meanings that you can ponder. The first is obviously to come to light, and the second is to happen. The third actually has to do with plants. If a plant transpires, it loses water vapor through its stomata. It's actually a crucial part of photosynthesis. Line 37. Now let us sport us while we may. Here the speaker is trying to say that whatever time is left with us, let us like play some games here. And he also is recommending that it's a brilliant idea. Line 38 says, and now like enormous birds of prey. So as I have previously said in my previous video of part 1 of this video, this is a metaphysical poem, and a lot of interpretations comes out from each line or each paragraph. Here enormous birds might recommend the how the birds mate, and also here the word prey also might suggest violence and therefore uneasiness into the scene. Line 39. Rather at once our time devour. So here again the reference of time has been taken, and it has also been suggested in the previous lines how mighty the time is. In front of the time nobody, no one's beauty or possessions might last. So here before the game begins we should have a little bit of pre-mating dinner. That's what might the speaker is trying to suggest here. Line 40 says, then languish in his slow chapped power. So slow चैप पावर जो यहाँ पे रेफरेंस डाला गया है, इट्स ऑन कंपैरिजन विद टाइम. यहाँ पे टाइम का पावर बताया गया है. सो अकॉर्डिंग टू नॉर्थन एंथोलॉजी ऑफ इंग्लिश लिटरेचर, स्लो चैप पावर मीन्स स्लोली डिवाउरिंग जोस. Line 41 to 42 says, let us roll all our strength and all our sweetness up into one ball. Next comes his actual description of sex, guys. So basically, the rolling up in a ball doesn't sound so bad. Strength carries on the idea of sex as sport from line 37, as I've already discussed. Come to think of it, ball works that way too. Line 43 to 44 says, and tear our pleasures with rough strife, thorough the iron gates of life. So let us read these two lines very properly. And the word pleasure that comes out is obviously recommending sex or the mating of both the speaker and the mistress. And it also makes sense from the speaker's perspective. He claims to believe that sex is the way to another world, a way to break out of the prison of time. So he highly anticipates sex or mating as a top priority in his life. The final couplet, the 45th and 46th line says, thus, though we cannot make our son stand still, yet we will make him run. So here, guys, in the final couplet, couplet is obviously a stanza made up of two lines, usually rhyming. तो स्पीकर इज़ फाइनली लिटिल बिट कामर हियर. उससे पहले तक उसका एक एंजाइटी था, दैट डेस्परेशन दिख रहा था प्रीवियस लाइंस में, टू नॉट हैव सेक्स एंड लाइक ट्राइंग टू कन्विंस द मिस्ट्रेस of losing her virginity. But here he talks about the sun now instead of time. In his time, the sun is thought to control time. In the end, he admits that sex is a compromise. So this is the video, guys. Hope you liked our presentation of To His Coy Mistress in simple words. I did it as simple as I could so that you understand it and also understand the gravity of the situation as for now, because 2 weeks are left and we need to make sure that this 2 weeks for British MEG poetry, which is considered one of the toughest subject in all the papers, because I have been getting requests from so many students as for now that how to crack the MEG 1 in the last minute. So all I recommend is that with your preparation, you also go through my videos that I'll be putting here in the next few days. That will give you a huge boost, and as usual, God bless you and thank you all.